What's going on, guys? In this video, myself and my team talk about advice we could give to our younger self when it comes to lifting, strengths, nutrition, all that good stuff. So hopefully you enjoyed this. This is part of the podcast. I'm gonna give you guys half of it now, and then the rest can be found on the podcast. So enjoy, and thank you so much for watching this. So what we're trying to say here, people, is don't starve yourself.
Yeah.
It's not the answer. There are better ways to do it,
Yeah,
which I'm sure we'll talk about. So Brittany, go over next point you got.
So the next point is you do not have to be an athlete or play sports to get into strength training or lifting weights. And I feel like my point after this is probably going to tie into that a little bit as well. But I definitely struggled growing up with kind of thinking that, well, I'm not good at sports. I tried playing basketball. All my friends were on sports teams. I felt like it wasn't really my thing. I wasn't good at it. And so I kind of put myself in that place where, well, why would I go to the gym? Why would I lift weights? Why would I strength train? I'm not doing it for anything. I'm not playing sports. I'm not trying to get faster or stronger. So all of that kind of, I feel like, set me on a course of just, developing into strength training a lot later in life than I probably could have started a lot earlier if I'd have just kind of embraced. It doesn't matter if you don't play soccer or sports in school.
Yeah.
It's not really about that. You should be open to it, try new things. You might end up being good at it. You might like it. And then earlier in life, you can weed out those things that you find out you don't like it sooner. And that's better because then you're kind of figuring out who you are as opposed to waiting until, again, college
Right.
to kind of figure that out for yourself.
Yeah.
It's funny because that reminds me of an athlete here. I'm not gonna drop my names, but they're really bad at sports. And I've gone to their games and stuff, and they just, for whatever reason, it just wasn't their thing, right? And there's a lot of pressure for people and kids to play sports either from their parents or just because it's like a social thing at school. But they were strong as heck, like super strong. And I just remember watching playing sports because they didn't get much playing time because they weren't really great at the sport. But I remember thinking if they compete in lifting, they're gonna compete no matter what. You know what I mean? They can't sit on the bench when you lift. It's you have a shot no matter what. And they were super strong. And I remember approaching them being like, you should get into lifting, whether it's powerlifting or weightlifting, whatever, strongman. And they're doing really well with it now, and it's kind of, they found their thing. But just kind of hits off of your point. It's they didn't have to be an athlete. And I try to recognize that being older to get into it now, because when you're older, you're gonna wish that you started when you were younger. But that's just kind of my thoughts on that.
Yeah, what's kind of crazy so I was an athlete. I played tons of sports, but back when I played, nobody even strength trained. That was not involved in any of our conditioning. It was all tons of running and but no one lifted weights, even the guys. So it's kind of crazy how that's evolved. It's an awesome thing. But I think, man, had I had that in combination with being an athlete, it would make me so much stronger and so much more powerful. So if you do play sports, you should definitely be strength training.
Matt, you got in there?
Yeah, I mean, even from a non-athletic standpoint, you're going to get so many just overall well-being benefits from resistance training. So you don't have to be going after 500, 600 pound deadlift. Just the basic resistance training is going to carry over so many benefits for you.
Yeah.
You don't have to be spending more than an hour in the gym, and you'll get all those benefits. So
yeah, definitely. All right, Britt, what's your last one?
So the last one, again, kind of ties into everything a little bit, would be to not put yourself in a box or confine yourself to a certain label. So I think definitely growing up, you kind of figure out what you like to do, and you might be good at something, and it's easy to let other people's perception of you make you think that way about yourself too. So for instance, I did marching band for 6 years. I played an instrument for more than 10 years, and I loved it. I mean, it was super fun, but it definitely, that whole band geek mentality or category or clique in school, it kind of puts you there, and you think to yourself, well, that's me then. That must be who I am. So you might as well just not try anything new, not put yourself out there, you know, you'll probably fail at it. And so it kind of is that like vicious cycle of keeping yourself down, basically. You're not allowing yourself to grow or try new things. So I think for sure I would go back and say to myself, you know, it doesn't matter, you know, what you're good at now, and that you don't play sports, and that, you know, you think that you're just a band geek or whatever it is, the category that people put you into at school. You can try new things, and that's what life's about.
I feel like we have a new market where I'm just going to start getting marching band squads and make them like the most jacked marching band in Bucks County. That'd be dope. They just show up with like cutoffs and they're like, it's like drumline, but I don't know.
Oh my
I think
gosh.
we're onto something here.
I'd pay to see that.
They would pay me to do it, so that's why we should do it. Yeah, I think like, I don't want to name drop, but there's a certain type of fitness that I've done before, and it's like they're so almost like against other types of fitness, you know, where it's like they're so confined to like what they do, where, you know, we try to have like a much more open approach to things, and that's why I think it makes it really special here, because we have like a strongman athlete, we have weightlifters, we have people who just come in and train, like, you know, we've got old people, young people, and that's what, like, I think it makes it really cool here, is because we have a little bit of everything and everybody. And I remember when I first was going to open, I was going to affiliate with CrossFit, and I didn't, just because I was like, I want to create my own brand, and I don't want people to come in with the stigma of like, all we do is CrossFit, and if we try to branch off from that, it's like, well, then it's not CrossFit.
Right.
Now it's something different. So here we're just trying to, like, we try everything and put all different modalities into the training, and get people out of their comfort zone. And I think it's also a nice way to figure out what you like, is when you're trying different stuff and kind of what you gravitate towards, you know. And our members here seem to be really open with that. Like, we just did a Spartan race with predominantly strength sport athletes, you know, and they did really well. And a lot of people had a great time. Like Brittany said, she may not do a trifecta, but she still showed up and she did it. So she always has that experience. She has the medal. She can talk about it with people. And it may have not been as bad as she thought it was. Like, she may be like, oh, that was pretty cool. You know, I don't hate it. Even if she did hate it, she still tried it. So it's kind of like we have people who are open-minded to do that, and not be so confined by a box, which is pretty cool.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
Anything else? Moving on.
Yeah.
All right, Coach Matt. Coach Matt is up with his first topic.
All right, so my first big one here is picking a program and then just sticking with it and running it through all the way to the end.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is a big one for a lot of younger people in the gym, is program hopping, or not having a program in general. But the thing I'd do is I'd probably run like the first 3 weeks of a program and either get bored of it, or I'd be like questioning the program and see another one and be like, oh, that one could be better. But the thing is, regardless of how good the program is or not, running it out through is always going to be your better option, because they're usually built to be progressively overloaded over long term. And if you're just running 3 beginning weeks of a program over and over and over again, you're just kind of spinning your wheels. So I would suggest not program hopping, just picking a program. You're probably going to be sitting there worried if it's like a perfect program or not, and there is no such thing as a perfect program. So just pick the program, stick with it, and run it through.
Have you tried our strongman program though? I'm pretty sure it's perfect. No. I think it's funny because when I was young, I used to think that way with like supplements. Like I used to get, I remember, oh crap, hold on, I'm trying to think what it was called. I think it was called Torrent, and it was by Universal Nutrition. And I remember like I would take a scoop of this, and I was like, I'm gonna look. I think the guy I watched back in the day, he's probably dead now, or he just is not healthy. But his name was Lorenzo Becker. I remember. He was a couple years older than me, and no lie, I didn't think this guy was on steroids. Looking back, I'm just like, how stupid was I? Like, he was just juiced out of his mind, and I was like, if he's taking this, or like I'm gonna look just like this guy. And I remember like a week went by, and I was like I don't look anything like this guy. Like, this is a scam. Like, none of this is working. You know what I mean? And the same thing with the program. Like, I'd hop on a program, and then I would test my bench like 2 weeks in. And I would be like, well, that didn't go up, so must be the program. I gotta get new supplements and a new program. But yeah, I feel like that's a trap a lot of youngsters fall into, and they just think it's like instantly gonna change overnight, and you're gonna get massive and strong, and this is the best program. And yeah, I've been there, unfortunately.
I mean, I totally get it. Like, it's not super fun to like run through your 12-week program. You're not doing like exciting things all the time. It's way more exciting to go for heavy lifts all the time, but in terms of overall progress, that kind of boring 12 weeks is going to get you where you need to go.
Yeah, I think what we see here a lot too for people who do like open gym is they will come in and we'll just see them like work up to a heavy single, and we never see them doing volume work, you know? So it kind of like, we don't really say much unless they ask us like, hey, what do you think's going on my bench? It's like, well, then we're like, all right, dude, like you're coming in every day and you're just maxing out. You're not going to get stronger with just doing singles and doubles. Like you need to put the volume in for a substantial amount of time to actually grow the size of your muscle to get stronger. But I think that's just like an easy trap people fall into because, like Matt said, it's a lot more exciting to put as much weight on the bar as possible. You know, ego lifting, like you're in a gym full of people who are like, oh, this guy's got a lot of weight on the bar. You know, but at the same time, it's not fun when you're just constantly failing reps and, you know, you're not getting any better.
It is fun when you start because everything's a PR. And you're just like, oh, this is like the easiest sport I've ever done. It's until you get into the grind of it year after year, and you're like, to get stronger is a lot of patience and a lot of hard work.
Well, I think that's the thing is like, they're the newbie gains. Like, my brother, for example, he had just kind of started strength training in the last year. He's lost over 100 pounds, and his deadlift went up almost 100 pounds in a year. You know what I mean? Which isn't really uncommon for someone who just starts because they don't know their threshold. They don't know what pushing heavy weight is, you know, but it's like kind of where we're at in time. It's like we got to train. So I was thinking the other day, it's been a year since I deadlifted almost, and my deadlift went up about 20 pounds in like a year. When you break that down in 365 days, like those are small incremental jumps, and it's only going to get smaller and smaller as time goes on, which you'll see with a lot of other, higher up, way surpass me lifters. You know, it's like 1 little pound is like the best thing ever you can get. So when you get to that phase, it's like you got to stick to the program. You got to trust the process. It's not going to happen overnight. Just be patient with it. All right, Matt, what we got?
All right, so next one, kind of tailing off of that, is that your workout sessions don't always have to be this super intense, maximal effort, RP 11 style training. Or that you don't have to.
RP11? Is that like the upside down? When
it
you
is
get to
the upside down. Go into the shadow.
I like the upside down.
But yeah, I think a lot of people get stuck in that, my muscles have to be sore for me to make progress, or I've got to feel a certain way after my workout for me to feel progress. And that's just not the case. In fact, like the muscle soreness is usually in the case of a novel stimulus. So if I gave like an individual training client different exercises every single time they showed up, they're going to be sore every single time they showed up. So you don't need to be like looking for that soreness or looking to push extremely hard every single time you show up. And in fact, kind of reining things in will be really good for your progress and keeping all your joints healthy, all your muscles healthy, and progressing.
Yeah, I think that was when I started really focusing on my strength training was different, as like Matt was saying, is I wasn't sore all the time, and I thought like something was wrong. I was like I'm not pushing hard enough. But then I realized that's what happens when you increase your frequency a little bit more and your training is actually more on point, is it's not going to happen. And yeah, like if you throw a curveball at me and I went and did like sumo deadlifts, I'm probably going to be sore. But for me, that was kind of like a weird mindset shift, I'd say, in the last 2 years. And I try to explain that to my clients sometimes, because in the beginning, sometimes they actually get really sore because it's so different to them. And I just say like, all right, like give it like, 2 weeks, and then things are going to adjust. You're going to, just trust the process, which is something we'll probably keep saying a lot more in this podcast. And then them understanding too, like we talk about RPE training, and I think the easy trap to fall into is thinking it's a linear progression where you think every week you have to go up from what you hit the week before with your RPE, but that's not the case. And then if you do that, you're actually going off program. So it takes a little bit more self-control to be like, okay, well, I'm pretty sure that's what it was today. It's not the same as it was last week, but long-term stress is what we're trying to accumulate to get the strength adaptation. Not so much, every week we got to be improving, we have to be going harder, and we got to be pushing more, because that's just going to eventually run you into a wall most likely. So you just got to be cognizant of that. Did any of you guys ever go like too hard for too long or anything? Like just kind of thinking that more was better, or no?
I remember when I first started out, I kind of had the same mentality as you. it was like if I left the gym and I wasn't sore, I felt like why'd I even go?
Yeah.
That wasn't worth it. So I would always kind of chase that, like I need to feel almost like I got beaten up a little bit at the gym. It would make me feel like I got something done.
Yeah.
It wasn't until I educated myself and learned through strength training and you guys early on that like it happens at first and then your body adjusts, and that's actually a good thing. And then you know you go through your program and then start a new program, and then boom, the soreness happens again. But it's not always about feeling that way afterwards.
Right.
I think the other point I'll add to that, and don't get this confused, is hard work is awesome. Because I remember when I was young, I would actually go to the gym, or I'd go strength train with the football team after practice, and then I would take my mom's minivan, I would drive to the gym, and I would train for like 2 hours. And yeah, was it probably the smartest thing to do? Hell no. But at the same time, it instilled a lot of like, you got to work hard. You got to work hard.
Yeah.
So it's like if you can kind of know, like it's all good because I think we all work hard like at this table. And it's like once you can take the hard work mentality and then just put a little bit more education behind it, that's like a good recipe for success. The problem is we have people who have the education and they don't have the hard work mentality. So then they come in and it's like, they're like, felt like a 7 or 8. But it's just like, we know you can push probably harder, you know what I mean? So if you kind of get that hard work ethic, I'd rather have a client who's like that, almost like I got to pull them back because they're like chomping at the bit to just get after it, versus someone who may know all the nuts and bolts of it, but they're not giving me enough effort.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's like kind of like the flip side of that. It's like, I think if you go through a point like that, it's actually good. And then once you come to terms and make some mistakes and you kind of can sit there and tell yourself like, all right, maybe I'm going a little too hard, but I can channel it a different way. It's going to be, better.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, last one, Matt.
All right, last one is kind of a combination of 2 different things. That's one is an idea like I always talk about, which is increasing frequency with lifts, which I didn't really know you could do back when I first started training. I always had that kind of idea that, you deadlift once a week or you're going to get injured or you're going to fry yourself. And kind of the same thing with squatting too. But now I know I can do that multiple times a week. But my old programs were like those old school bro splits where you literally have a leg day, a chest day, a back day, which is so funny looking on it now, compared to like modern programming where you're doing all of that all in one workout where you're getting, bench press, squats, some sort of back workout in. It's all combined into one workout and you're doing that multiple times per week. So you're seeing all the lifts frequently, you're doing all your muscle groups frequently, and it's just way more efficient training than trying to cram like a week's worth of volume into one day with a chest workout or a leg workout.
Yeah, I think now with like all the modern, like you were saying, just programming and research, I think I know for a fact back my football coach used to be like, if you squat more than once a week, like your knees are going to be destroyed. And I'd be like, oh snap, like I don't want my knees being destroyed. So I would squat like insane once a week. But by the time the next week came around, I was already so recovered that it really didn't force anything to actually, like the stress wasn't high enough, you know what I mean? So, we squat 3, sometimes 4 days a week now and we survive and we're getting stronger. But I think with me personally too, and I'll talk about my point, but like you said, like deadlift, I think there's a point where if you do everything once a week, like you're going to get results if you're new to it. But I think the issue is when people aren't getting results and they keep trying to do that. And it's just like they're maybe afraid they're like, what? Like you can't deadlift twice a week? Yeah. Well, it's like, yeah, you can. Maybe give it a shot. Like, and even with bro splits now, the frequency for a bro split has increased. Like I look at more stuff now, and they're like, you can hit shoulders 3 days a week. Back then you didn't hit shoulders 3 days a week. You hit everything like Matt said once a week. Yeah. Didn't you guys ever do like bro splits or anything? Like
not really.
Bodybuilding stuff?
I always looked forward to back and buys.
Yeah.
That was my day.
Chest and